Fake HOA cop grabbed my 3-day-old daughter. When I chased him to the lake, he threw my newborn into the water with a cruel smile. He had no idea who he was dealing with. My military training was about to be put to the ultimate test. Before you watch full story, please comment down from which country are you watching. Don't forget to subscribe. The day started like any other Tuesday. My wife Sarah had just come home from the hospital with our newborn daughter Lily only 3 days ago. The house was quiet except for the soft cooing sounds coming from the nursery where Sarah was changing Lily's diaper. I was in the kitchen making coffee, still adjusting to the sleepless nights that come with a newborn. Then came the knock at the door. 3 loud, authoritative bangs that seemed to shake the whole house. I wasn't expecting anyone, especially not at 9 a.m. on a weekday. When I opened the door, a man in what looked like a security uniform stood there with a clipboard and a stern expression. He had a patch that read Lakeside HOA Enforcement on his chest and a badge that glinted in the morning sunlight. "Mr. Thompson?" he asked, not waiting for my confirmation. "I'm Officer Reeves with the Homeowners Association. We've received multiple complaints about your property." I frowned, confused. Complaints? About what exactly? We had just moved into this house 2 months ago, specifically choosing this neighborhood for its good schools and safe streets. Perfect for raising our daughter. The HOA rules seem strict, but we've been careful to follow them. Your lawn height exceeds regulation by 3 inches, your mailbox is not the approved model, and that tree, he pointed to our oak tree, needs to be removed immediately. It's not on the approved vegetation list. This didn't make sense. The previous owners had planted that tree years ago, and no one had mentioned anything about our mailbox when we moved in. As for the lawn, I'd mowed it just 3 days before Sarah went into labor. "Look, I just brought my newborn daughter home from the hospital. Can we discuss this another time? I'll take care of the lawn this weekend." The man's face hardened. "HOA violations are not negotiable, sir. The fines start at $500 per day per violation." $500? That's ridiculous. My voice raised slightly, and I heard Sarah call from inside asking if everything was all right. "Everything's fine," I called back, then turned to the man. "Listen, I'll call the HOA office directly and sort this out." The man stepped forward, putting his foot in the doorway so I couldn't close it. "I need to document the violations with photos," he insisted, trying to push past me. That's when my military training started sending alarm signals. 8 years in the Navy SEALs teaches you to recognize when something isn't right. This guy's uniform looked too new, the badge was shiny but generic, and the logo on his clipboard didn't match the one I'd seen on our HOA paperwork. "Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to step back and show me some ID," I said firmly, blocking his entrance. Instead of complying, he shoved me hard, catching me off balance. I stumbled backward as he forced his way in. "Sarah, call 911. I shouted, regaining my footing. The man reached into his jacket and I braced myself, fearing he might pull a weapon. Instead, he took out what looked like a citation book and smiled coldly. "Do that and the fines will double. I just need to inspect the house for additional violations." Sarah appeared in the hallway, clutching Lily to her chest. "Mike, what's happening?" The intruder's eyes fixed on our daughter, and something in his expression changed. That's when I knew this had nothing to do with lawn height or mailboxes. "Sarah, take Lily and go to the bedroom. Lock the door." My voice was calm but firm. She hesitated for only a second before turning to go. The fake officer lunged suddenly, pushing past me with surprising speed. He grabbed Sarah's arm, causing her to cry out in pain. "Let her go," I shouted, moving toward them. "Stay back," he snarled, revealing his true intentions. "I'm taking the baby." The Millers had been waiting 3 years for a healthy newborn girl. The Millers? My mind raced to keep up. This man wasn't from the HOA. He was trying to kidnap our daughter. Sarah clutched Lily tighter, her face pale with terror. "Please don't," she whispered. "Hand over the baby and nobody gets hurt," he demanded, pulling something from his back pocket. A stun gun. He pointed it at Sarah. Time seemed to slow down. My SEAL training kicked in, assess, decide, act. I needed to protect my family at all costs. Okay, I said, raising my hands in apparent surrender. "Let's all calm down. Sarah, give him the baby." Sarah looked at me in horror, but I gave her a subtle nod. We had a code from our dating days for dangerous situations. Calm down meant I had a plan. As Sarah reluctantly stepped forward, I moved to the side as if giving them space. The moment the man's attention focused on Lily, I struck. A quick, precise movement to disarm him of the stun gun, then a sweep of his legs. He fell hard but was surprisingly strong, rolling and getting back to his feet quickly. "Run, Sarah." I shouted as I engaged with the intruder. The man was trained, not military level but definitely not an amateur. We struggled across the living room, knocking over lamps and coffee tables. He landed a solid punch to my ribs that knocked the wind out of me, then broke free and ran after Sarah. I recovered quickly and followed, my heart pounding with fear for my wife and daughter. Through the kitchen window I saw them outside. Sarah was running toward our neighbor's house, but the fake officer was gaining on her. I burst through the back door just as he caught up to Sarah by the edge of the small lake behind our property. He tore Lily from Sarah's arms as my wife screamed in terror. "Stop. Let her go," I shouted, racing toward them. The man turned to me with a cold smile. "Stay back or you'll never see her again." When he saw me still charging forward, he did the unthinkable. With deliberate cruelty, he threw my newborn daughter into the lake. "Find her if you can," he snarled as Lily's tiny body splashed into the cold water and began to sink. Sarah's scream tore through the morning air. The man looked stunned for a moment, as if even he hadn't meant for that to happen. But that moment of hesitation was all I needed. I sprinted past both of them and dove straight into the lake without a second thought. The water was murky and cold, but adrenaline kept me from feeling it. My eyes strained to see in the greenish water. There, a flash of pink from Lily's blanket, sinking slowly about 6 feet down. With powerful strokes, I swam to her and grasped her tiny body, then kicked hard toward the surface. When I broke through, I could hear Sarah's desperate sobs from the shore. The fake officer was running away through the backyard of another house. I didn't care about him at that moment. All my focus was on getting Lily to shore and making sure she was breathing. As I reached the shallow water, Sarah waded in to help us. I laid Lily gently on the grassy bank. She wasn't crying. She wasn't moving. My training took over once more. Tiny chest compressions with 2 fingers, gentle rescue breaths. "Come on, Lily," I whispered between breaths. "Come on, baby girl." Sarah knelt beside us, shaking and praying. "Please, please, please." After what felt like an eternity but was probably only 30 seconds, Lily coughed and water dribbled from her mouth. Then came the most beautiful sound I'd ever heard, her cry, angry and strong. Sarah gathered her up, wrapping her in her dry cardigan while I collapsed on the grass beside them, exhausted but flooded with relief. In the distance I could hear sirens approaching. Our neighbor had seen the commotion and called 911. "He's getting away," Sarah said, nodding toward where the man had disappeared. "Let him run," I replied, placing my hand on Lily's chest to feel her strong heartbeat. "The police will find him." And they did. The fake HOA cop turned out to be Darren Whitfield, a member of a small human trafficking ring that specialized in stealing infants from new parents in affluent neighborhoods. They would scout houses with newborn announcements or baby gear visible, then use the HOA enforcement angle to gain entry. The police caught him trying to hitchhike on the highway 3 miles away. His wet clothes and desperate manner had made him stand out to the officer who spotted him. As for the Millers he mentioned, they were a wealthy couple from another state who had been on adoption waiting lists but grew impatient. They denied knowing that the baby would be kidnapped, claiming they thought they were working with a private adoption facilitator. Whether they knew the truth or not, they faced charges as well. The investigation revealed that Whitfield had been watching our house for days, noting when we came home from the hospital and learning our routines. He had fake HOA badges and paperwork for 3 different neighborhoods in the area. In the weeks that followed, we installed a security system and I became hypervigilant about checking ID and unexpected visitors. Sarah had nightmares about Lily in the water, and I often woke up in cold sweats, reliving those moments of searching for her in the murky lake. But gradually life settled into a new normal. Lily showed no ill effects from her brief submersion, growing into a happy, healthy baby who loved bath time despite everything. A fact that made both Sarah and me smile through tears the first time we noticed it. The real HOA sent us a fruit basket and a sincere apology, though we had never actually blamed them. They also approved an exception to install a fence around our property and security cameras, items that would normally have required months of paperwork and committee reviews. Our neighbors rallied around us, creating an informal neighborhood watch and checking in regularly. Some of them took CPR classes together, inspired by what had happened. 6 months later, I stood by that same lake, holding Lily in my arms as she giggled at the ducks swimming nearby. Sarah walked up and wrapped her arms around us both. "Do you ever think about how close we came to losing her?" she asked quietly. "Every day," I admitted, kissing Lily's forehead. "But then I remember that we didn't lose her. We fought for her." "Your training saved her life," Sarah said, leaning her head against my shoulder. "No," I corrected her. "Being her dad saved her life." The training just helped. As Lily reached out toward the water without fear, I realized something important. While the world could be dangerous and people weren't always who they claimed to be, I wouldn't teach my daughter to live in fear. Instead, I would teach her to be strong, aware, and brave, the same qualities that had saved her that terrible morning. Whitfield was sentenced to 15 years in prison for attempted kidnapping, assault, and child endangerment. The trafficking ring was broken up, saving countless other families from experiencing similar nightmares. Sometimes I still wake up in the night and go to Lily's room just to watch her sleep, to see the gentle rise and fall of her chest. In those quiet moments, I'm not a former Navy SEAL or a hero. I'm just a dad, grateful for every moment with his daughter and willing to do anything to keep her safe. The fake HOA cop took something from us that day, our sense of security and innocence. But he also gave us something, a reminder of how precious life is and how quickly it can change. We don't take a single day for granted anymore. And as for our mailbox and lawn, they still don't meet HOA regulations sometimes. But now, whenever someone knocks on our door with a complaint, they know to expect a thorough ID check and a lot of questions before I even consider opening the door. Some might call it paranoia. I call it being prepared. Because if there's one thing my military career and that terrible day taught me, it's that preparation can mean the difference between life and death, especially when it comes to protecting the ones you love. The lake behind our house is beautiful in the morning light. Lily loves to watch the sunrise reflect off the water. Sometimes I think about how that same water almost took her from us, and I feel a chill despite the warm air. But then she smiles or laughs and the darkness fades away. We survived. We're stronger. And no fake HOA cop or anyone else will ever threaten my family again.